What are you going to do when Emerald Fennel calls you about her next project where you play Carrie Mulligan's coworker in the bridal section of Harrods, and then Act 3 takes a sexually violent turn and you have to pretend to be surprised by that turn?
Wuthering Heights is the latest adaptation of the Emily Bronte literary classic, starring Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi, and directed by Emerald Fennel. Like many of its adaptations, the film forgoes the book's generation-spanning tale to instead focus on the messy relationship between Robbie's Kathy, the daughter of a drunken English lord, and Elordi's Heathcliff, an orphan taken in by Kathy's family as a child. The two are obviously in love from the jump, but thanks to misunderstandings, immaturity, and societal norms, they remain apart until adulthood, where she's married to a rich yet boring man, and he shows up rocking a glow-up and mysterious newfound fortune after being gone for years. There's been a lot of hype for this one. The two leads are very pretty, the book has a dedicated fan base. However you feel about Fennel, her films are guaranteed to spark a conversation, and the trailers all promised a steamy romantic tale just in time for Valentine's Day. The problem is, trying to give this one a full review feels kind of pointless. I can go over its many flaws, the biggest being it's thoroughly uninterested in the source material's themes, sandblasting what could and has been a compelling story into an awkwardly told tale of pretty yet awful people being terrible to each other. But I have a strong feeling people who were hyped for this movie are going to plug their ears and drown all that out. They're here for the bodice ripping, the foreplay, the light hints of BDSM, the professions of love, and the eventual consummation of desire. Even if the first 90 minutes are essentially two gorgeous actors staring at each other like hungry wolves a few feet away from fresh cuts of meat, and the eventual lovemaking luridness is left implied, while what's on screen is often surprisingly tame. How'd that get here? And the reason I'm sure of that is, despite the movie's flaws, when a certain character dies in the third act, you could still hear the tears flowing throughout the audience at my screening, followed by a sudden emotional jolt when the credits started rolling. Like it or not, this thing is gonna have a fan base. For some people, having attractive actors make kissy face at each other is enough.
No time for kissy face.
I like kissy face.
Ah, yes, fine.
As for performances, Robbie actually winds up playing a bit against type. She normally portrays her characters with some level of emotional maturity. Yes, even her stint as Harley Quinn. Yet here she plays it with a level of stunted emotional maturity, something the film sadly never wants to explore. Elordi does a solid job with a role that's constantly changing. Sometimes he's a towering brute, sometimes he's an emotionally vulnerable lost puppy, he's a man-spreading sleaze after the second act time skip, and occasionally slips back into the same performance we got on Euphoria, where he utterly loathes the women around him while failing to conceal an obvious urge to kill. Given how little the film connects to the book, I genuinely wondered if they were going to go all the way and say, okay, in this version, he kills Edgar. I actually wish they had gone that route. At least it would have been interesting. On the positive side, the film at least looks incredible. The costumes are great, and when our leads aren't windswept by the English countryside or shrouded in dense clouds of fog, they're often drenched in one form or another, adding to the film's sensuality. I also expect plenty will be made of the set design, particularly how the film's class commentary has each room of the Linton house all sporting at least one detail that looks fresh out of Hieronymus Bosch's depiction of hell. As for the emerald fennelness of it all, there are plenty of visuals that will likely stick with people. My top guesses are going to be licking flesh-colored walls. Not even going to try to explain that one. A leeching scene, and everything going on with Alison Oliver's performance as Isabel. Like Fennel's other works, I expected Wuthering Heights to be well-meaning, but ultimately flawed and tiresome, and I was spot on. I wasn't expecting a faithful adaptation. I don't know how anybody who heard a note of Charlie XCX's coke-infused soundtrack possibly could, but ultimately it's forgettable. It'll have its defenders, but if the trailer's never sold yet, you don't really need to bother with it. But what did you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.